X, formerly known as Twitter, is now being banned in Brazil based on the lack of censorship that the platform holds. Now, I've got mixed feelings about Elon Musk. I'm not claiming that he's an advocate for truth or our saviour in any sense, but we can't lie, Twitter has become a freer space. Now, the fact that that's now being banned in Brazil because of quote-unquote misinformation and disinformation is yet another example of George Orwell 1984 coming to life. I mean, the fact we even have to have this kind of debate or conversation is sort of mental, but we did all see it going in this direction. Those who are truly alert and awake to what's been happening over the past 4 years will know that censorship has been going on for quite some time. Censorship regarding data, scientists who stood against the there are all sorts of examples of censorship happening across the mainstream media. So, in walked Elon Musk and bought up Twitter and then freed up a platform for us. As I say, I don't think the man is perfect, but he's definitely done something here. You see, the president of Brazil has said he doesn't have to put up with Elon Musk's far-right ideologies, even though far-right, I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, you can be far-right for purely saying that you think that your country should be put first these days.
How am I far-right?
Because of some of the stuff that you're sharing.
Like what? Give me an example. Give me an example.
You're talking about votes. You're talking about asylum seekers.
Oh, so I'm talking about something makes me far-right?
No,
Got it?
No,
it's not gassing the Jews. It's talking about things negatively, right?
No, not negatively. But if you talk about things which are racist, which are untrue,
what's racist?
Which are disinformation, victimising asylum seekers.
I'm not victimising them. I'm saying they're not asylum seekers.
So do you think
Once again, headlines that are either agreeing or disagreeing with Musk's approach are still using these buzzwords: far right, fascist, extremist. It's so uncomplicated. And Musk has put it very well himself when he turns around and says, look, we will delete things that are deemed illegal in a country, but we're not going to delete things that are legal. And the only way that freedom of speech will flourish is with opposition. If you delete opposition, well, isn't that called a very authoritarian state? You need opposition in order for ideas to develop, in order for us to think and become resilient and back up our arguments. So forgetting about the more political aspect, let's look at the fact that if you were to remove the ability to disagree and place a very personalised subject like hate crime, you're going to head in the direction of some very dangerous decisions. I mean, what do you deem as hate crime? How far does someone have to go until they get arrested? Until they serve prison time? I mean, back in 2020, accounts were being struck off Meta purely for the fact that they were posting opposing science regarding promoting individuals who make a very persuasive case as to why we shouldn't a population. This was banned. This was silenced. And this is just continuing. This isn't some new revelation, but it's Musk that came in and said, no, we've got to put a stop to that. But now Brazil banning X really is a step backwards and should be a warning sign to anybody who thinks we live in this la-di-da lovely free society. We don't. Things have changed. The media is never honest. I could go through the BBC and rip them to shreds on their headlines as to how warped and biased they are. It takes hundreds of alternative media outlets to promote more truth, but the media now promotes one message, is bought up by the same 1% elites to channel the same narrative, quash the ability to debate, silence those willing to fight back, promote messages that cause division, but more concerningly, instill fear in a population that they can't have a certain kind of opinion. Now, of course, individuals that are breaking the law, a law which I should hope is a reasonable one and not one invented in order to police in a very authoritarian and biased way, that these individuals should then, of course, have some sort of repercussion if it's causing harm or it's something like child pornography or anything which promotes something truly wrong. Well, that should be deleted, it should not be on social media, and it should be policed. I get it. But there's a really transparent line here. This isn't some confusing grey area. If something's legal, if something's allowed to be in a country, then just leave it on the internet. If someone says, I hate you and I believe that people should get out of my country, well, fine, it may not be that nuanced, but who cares? Isn't that what freedom is? We are supposed to be a country that hosts freedom of speech, but instead we're being the country that is now the driving force behind censorship. It's not complicated. The first thing that dictators will do that want to push one narrative is destroy knowledge, burn books, find the clever people, because of course knowledge is power. If you read George Orwell 1984, one of the most symbolic pieces of the book is that they even invent a new language, strip people of their ability to think, remove their identity, and turn them into submissive robots. Whilst this all may seem really exaggerated and hyperbolic to some viewers, I'm sure there's a lot of viewers out there who think something very similar. We've got to push back. We've got to keep promoting freedom of speech. We can't allow our government or entities above the government like the World Health Organization, the United Nations, the EU Commission to impose on our freedoms. We have the ability to think, and we have the ability to say what we want, when we want, and how we want it, providing it doesn't cause immense harm. It's not complicated. So, doesn't that make you think? If it is so obvious and just the general public can work it out, then why is our government pushing so hard against it? Why is our government promoting violence that happens at far-right protests, barely talking about the fact that in other demographics in our country, there's been a lot of violence in recent months? Buses burned, windows smashed, bricks thrown at police officers. You've got to ask yourself, why is a certain narrative being pushed? What is happening to the United Kingdom? We have to maintain what we know to be truth and not allow nefarious entities to brainwash us into believing that we are bad people for holding such opinions. Yeah, we do like our country. No, we're not ashamed to be white. Yes, we do think there are some issues regarding mass migration. No, we don't think the COVID vaccine was a particularly good idea. Does this make me an anti-vax, conspiracy theorist, far-right racist? No. This has been going on for too long now. I don't know why we don't have even more of a resistance, but we've got to put our words into action. Start creating protests. Start outreaching in local communities. Persuade people and help them understand that they're allowed a voice. And the best way to fight back against censorship is to not live in fear, but promote your opinion. I do hope you enjoyed this video. Please click the subscribe button, leave a comment. If you'd like to find me on social media, my Instagram is montgomery.toms and my Twitter is montgomerytoms. Thank you for watching.